In the Demesne mod, rituals are performed by placing a series of significant items into an altar in a particular order to achieve an effect. Most of the rituals currently included in the mod are totem activation rituals, so before we get into that, we're going to have to make a change. The stone altar we've been using is a good cheap start, but it has several limitations. Stone altars will always channel energy as though they're in a level 1 domain, which limits the number of machines they can power and how much energy they can have stored at one time. Rituals usually require more power than a level 1 can provide. Stone altars also cannot support totems at all. Since there can't be more than one altar in a domain, we'll have to break this one. Now we place down 4 blocks of temple marble, and above that 4 gold bars. This is the recipe for the gold bars. And smack it with a dowsing orb. Shiny! We will also need to reattune to the domain, as breaking the altar has broken our attunement. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about totems. Totems are blocks that rest above the altar and channel a bit of energy to change the way the ambient energy of the domain affects entities within it. Without any totems, this ambient energy causes a health regen effect in attuned entities, and has no noticeable effect on the unattuned. To build our first totem, we will need a structure called a totem support, made by placing 4 blocks of temple marble directly above the altar, then right-clicking with our dowsing orb. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and put some ladders up because it only gets taller from here. Now that we have our support in place, we need blank totem blocks. This is the recipe. We place those onto the support like so. Totem blocks can only be placed on totem supports or other totem blocks. If I try to place one on the floor over here, nothing happens. With our blank totem blocks in place, we can begin our ritual. Since my character is clearly hungry, let's make a nourishment totem. We'll need a tablet of nourishment made like this, followed by a golden carrot, a golden apple, and a cookie. And now, while within my domain's influence, I will slowly gain nourishment, because actually eating is such a waste of time. I'm not going to go through every totem because several of them are basically apply this good potion effect to good people or apply this bad potion effect to bad people, and I think most people know what the vanilla potion effects do, but I'll go through the kind of unique ones. A full list of all of the totems and their activation rituals is available on the wiki, which I'll link in the description. You might have noticed that my totems were already at the ceiling of this little house with only one, so I did a little reno. Now seems like a good time to point out that it's okay to have extra blank totems above your altar. When you do an activation ritual, it will only transform the closest set of blank totem blocks, leaving the rest blank, and the totem blocks are not tile entities, so they will not lag out your server. I also got myself some damaged equipment, so we can talk about the mending totem. To activate a mending totem, we'll need a mending tablet, a diamond, a shield, and an enchanted book. The enchantment doesn't really matter, so just make it one you don't care about. This totem will slowly mend equipment in your armor slots, main hand, or offhand. It's very slow. Once about every 5 seconds, it will mend 1 point of damage to a random item in one of those slots, if it is damaged. We can improve on it. The more mending totems you have, the more powerful the mending effect will be. With 2 layers of mending totems, every valid slot will be mended by one once every 5 seconds. And at 3 and beyond, the amount of mending per pass is increased. This is actually true of most totems. Multiple healing totems will give you better and better regen, multiple slowness totems will make bad things slower and slower, etc. The exceptions are the nourishment totem, because it didn't really seem necessary, and the flight totem, because higher levels of the flight potion effect don't actually do anything. So flight totem, you say, or I say. We can activate a flight totem with a flying tablet. This item should totally fly, but it doesn't. A gas tier. A gilded feather, recipe. And a blaze rod. It provides the flight potion effect to any players who are attuned to the domain. Flight does not affect non-player entities, or rather, it doesn't do anything for them. Note that if you leave the influence of your domain, flight, like all your other effects, will wear off after a few seconds. Please don't be high up when this happens. Not all totems affect attuned players. We can activate the poison totem with a poisonous tablet, recipe, a poisonous potato, and a fermented spider eye. And then if an illager breaks into your house, they will have a bad time. 2 notes. Harmful totems also affect any players who aren't attuned to the domain, and neither harmful nor beneficial totems affect passive mobs like cows or chickens. Beneficial totems will affect your spirit summons. Spirit summons are nature spirits that you can summon through a ritual to live in your domain and perform a specific task. Currently, the only one available is the wolf spirit, which can be tasked with protecting the domain. To summon it, we place an effigy of the wolf in the altar, recipe, followed by a bone and a lead. Then this lovely little blue pup will appear to patrol the domain and attack any hostile mobs it finds. It will not attack players. If your summon dies, it will be resummoned at the altar automatically. The Ritual of Expansion increases the influence of a domain by about 1 chunk in every horizontal direction. We perform it by offering a Tablet of Expansion, recipe, followed by an Ender Pearl and a Temple Marble Block. Now if we go outside, we can see the benefits of our totem don't wear off. And I can finally link this lava tank from the previous episode. Your dowsing orb will, however, still point to the center of the domain. So while in the process of recording and editing this video, I actually added in another spirit summon I'd been wanting to add for a while. The Garden Gnome. This little guy can be summoned using an effigy of the gnome, made like that, followed by a golden hoe, a carrot, and a potato. Once you've summoned him, he'll seek out any crops that you have growing and harvest and replant any mature ones. He can pick up any nearby items laying on the ground and will place them in the nearest chest. Finally, if you find that he's hanging out anywhere that you don't want him to be, he can be led around with a carrot on a stick. This can be especially helpful if your altar is inside and your garden is outside, like mine. But you should also know that Minecraft's pathing AI has trouble with things like doors, so you may also have to push him to get him to go outside. Go play!